In the U.S., White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has declined to react to the news that Twitter has agreed to sell itself to Elon Musk, but said President Biden has long been concerned about the influence of social media platforms. Psaki further explained that Biden has been a strong supporter of fundamental reforms to achieve that goal, including reforms to Section 230, the law that protects social media companies from being legally liable for the content their users post. Biden has also advocated for antitrust reforms and for requiring more transparency from the companies, Psaki said, adding that the president is encouraged that there is bipartisan interest in Congress.
On a specific transaction, what I can tell you as a general matter, no matter who owns or runs Twitter, the president has long been concerned about the power of large social media platforms, the power they have over our everyday lives, has long argued that tech platforms must be held accountable for the harms they cause. He has been a strong supporter of fundamental reforms to achieve that goal, including reforms to Section 230, enacting antitrust reforms, requiring more transparency, and more. And he's encouraged that there's bipartisan interest in Congress.
And we're staying with that story as Kayode Adebayo, CEO C-Crowd, joins me from Ibadan via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Hi, it's nice to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. Let's talk about this because there is so much skepticism, or there was so much skepticism when this was announced. But what do you think the implication of an Elon Musk ownership of Twitter really is?
Well, from my own point of view, it's just another extension of enterprise, because at the end of the day, the reason why a billionaire would want to own something to a large extent, if it's not a toy, if it's not a luxury toy, it's to make profit, or it serves his agenda to a certain extent. And we've had a trend also of billionaires, owning media platforms, whether it is traditional media or it is print media. We know about Jeff Bezos owning Washington Post, and quite a number of them like that. We've also even heard about Mr. Donald Trump, the former president of the US, trying to build a social media app also where he could communicate himself quite easily without needing to go through the whole traditional media process. So I think that might just be what this is to Mr. Elon Musk. And which platform would it be ideal to own to be able to put out as much information as you want to put out one information and it gets to as many people as you want it to get to than Twitter. So that's what I think this is for Mr. Elon Musk.
And that's a lot of power to have, but he calls himself a free speech absolutist. But on a platform where, and we've seen that over and over again on social media, where we see racial comments, we see outright racism, we've seen harassment and bullying, shouldn't that be some sort of safeguards in that environment?
Yes. And Twitter being what it is, I think it has a reputation of people being quite caustic, on a platform like Twitter. And, that is even, it coming from a place of some level of control. So if we are looking at Mr. Elon Musk, talking about free speech, and eventually he'll be owning Twitter and allowing that, I also want to imagine the level of, the level of non-control that will be operating in the Twitter space. But is this good for this a certain proportion of the human race? I don't know yet, but just like I said, it's something that we all need to probably sit back and be able to kind of look through and eventually decide. But only thing is that Mr. Elon Musk have over the years made himself, formed the perception out of being the billionaire that is good for the human race. Not like some other billionaires that probably have a kind of like a villain perception to them. So let's hope that this is just one of those things, again, in which Mr. Elon Musk is trying to do in order to be able to kind of add value to the human race.
Mm. And let's talk about the Nigerian Twitter, as we call it. Nigerians are a bit skeptical because it is on this platform that the political movement, or movement rather, social movement like Bring Back Our Girls, and movements like the EarnSARS movement were bettered. I mean, they drove them on Twitter, and we saw. I guess again that's one of the reasons that we're seeing a change in ownership, because of the role that Jack Dorsey played, and people were critical. Some people were critical of that. Some people were really commended him for that as well. Both sides of the coin, but. What do you think that this might mean? Elon Musk has said he's a free speech absolutist. So what do you think that this will mean for those kind of social and political movements in Nigeria?
Yeah, so for me, I think aside even the social and political movements, there's a whole economic movement for the young Nigerians going on Twitter. I know a lot of people that earn their daily living or daily monthly living from being able to support some form of economic or commercial process on Twitter by supporting small businesses and all that. So I think all this will, to a certain extent, be affected. But would it be affected positively or negatively? We don't know. But I think if it's for us to look at it from a political angle and social angle, and considering the philosophy that Mr. Elon Musk has towards being wanting to own this particular business or this product, I think it will do them well, because it means that people now can go out there, talk and all that. But the idea also will be that there might now be some measures within different countries or within different private situations that will now want to control access to it, blocking access to it in order for some things not to happen, or blocking access from Twitter to those geographical regions in order to be able to have still have some level of control. But as I say, socially or politically, this should serve that particular movement well, because it's for free speech, right? At least that's what he says for now. And the only fear I have personally is that when it comes to matters around commerce, Mr. Elon Musk has not shown himself to be very responsible over a while, because he has that attitude of wanting to go out, put an information out, and you can see how it affects some kind of market, like what he did to Bitcoin not too long ago.
Right.
And I think he has done it, one way or the other with other kind of private business situations also. Yeah.
Well, a lot remains to be seen, and we will see how it plays out. Thank you so much for talking to us, CEO C Crowd, Kayode Adebayo.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.